There's been a lot happening in the news this week. Joining me via Skype to discuss the media's handling of it all is Katie Halper, host of The Katie Halper Show, co-host of The Useful Idiots, a Rolling Stone podcast. Katie, it's great to see you, although we do miss Crystal, certainly.
Yes, you too, though.
I know. All right. So let's start off. This one, Katie specifically highlighted to me. I really liked it. Let's throw it up on the screen. Soledad O'Brien, Twitter critic extraordinaire, says the potential of another president who hates the media. But let's end this ugly chapter of media hatred from elected officials because Bernie Sanders calls out the corporate media for denying coverage of his campaign. Obviously facile and ridiculous, Katie. Your response.
Yeah, I think that it's a really dangerous false equivalency, and we see this a lot. And, you know, anyone who equates Trump's threatening statements and threatening treatment of the media and journalists and the way he mocks, you know, disabled journalists or journalists with disabilities, and Bernie Sanders' systemic critique of corporate media and media bias, it's really irresponsible, especially if you care about the fourth estate, you know, if you care about a robust media. And we see this also with the the narrative
right.
about the anger of Trump and Sanders and the equating of that. And, you know, the idea that you have one saying you're angry, you should be, blame Muslims and Mexicans. And then you have another one saying you're angry, you should be, and don't blame Muslims and Mexicans. Anyone who cares about the scapegoating under Donald Trump knows that that's a really dangerous false equivalency. It's not just incorrect, but it's very dangerous. Yeah.
Well, and it also just misses the systemic thing, right? Which is like, it's crazy that the world's richest man owns the Washington Post. I think it's crazy. And the fact that we're not allowed to talk about it, that we're conspiracy theorists to think that the world's richest man owns the Washington Post and that has no effect on their coverage whatsoever, I think you're the crazy one if you believe that.
Yeah, that's true. You're the conspiracy theorist, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you had people saying, oh, in this age of, you know, it's so dangerous when we have Trump doing what he's doing to say stuff like that. No. I mean, since when, you know, like, is Chomsky a Trumpian? Noam Chomsky, who's been talking about the manufacturing of consent and media bias for decades. I just wanted to cite someone, I hope people check out the very good writer and journalist Malaika Jabali, who tweeted to O'Brien, ma'am, I know you know this is a terrible false equivalence. You know how many Black people have complained about the media's misleading and stereotypical portrayals of our communities. Fighting the media isn't in and of itself a bad thing, and I can't believe that has to be said. I just think that's a great tweet from a very great writer, and do we have to make this point that criticizing the media isn't in itself Trumpian or right wing?
Yeah, thank you. Well, no, you couldn't be more right. All right, this is my all-time favorite hits for this particular series. An MSNBC reporter saying, well, Tulsi Gabbard didn't deny being a Russian asset. Let's take a listen, Katie, and then we're going to get both of our reactions.
One thing that was one thing that was interesting about Tulsi Gabbard's response, I mean, she went after Hillary Clinton. She was strong. She said that she wasn't going to run as a third-party candidate. She never denied being a Russian asset. That was the one aspect that was missing from her response.
Oh, she didn't deny it, Katie. It must be true.
Yeah, I mean, did that journalist deny that she's a Russian asset? And then you have John Capehart, who's like, you're right. I'm waiting for Capehart and Clinton to deny that they're Russian assets. Maybe they're Ukrainian assets, although that's okay, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. By today's standards. Or
Klobuchar, I saw Klobuchar. I revisited Klobuchar saying, you know, what does Israel think about this? And they're a beacon of democracy. I'm like, wait a second. Klobuchar is an Israeli asset.
Right, by that logic, right? I mean, if you express support for something, it's so ridiculous. Just the entire thing. And the best part is, and Katie, we were just talking about this. The best part is like, you know what? These are people who are all corporate assets. And what's even worse is that they're all, you know, Hillary Clinton, Ryan Grimm tweeted this, is actually an asset of Harvey Weinstein. She actually is an asset of Harvey Weinstein. That's not in dispute here. Where is it coverage on their network that quashed, allegedly, I should say here, you know, for the lawyers? Where's that coverage? Nothing.
Right. But there's more evidence of that than that Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian asset. And also, I want to be clear, you don't have to like Tulsi Gabbard or support her to think this is a disgusting attack. Just like you have people, I've seen this on Twitter, and it's like heartwarming. You have people who are like, I'm not a Sanders guy. He's not my number one guy. I'm not a Sanders gal, whatever. But the media's bias against him is disgusting. You don't have to. And then you see people who don't like Tulsi kind of jumping on board with this. And look, go after Tulsi, criticize her, but not with this weird neo-McCarthyite smear. And yeah, I'm waiting for John Capehart and everyone on that panel to talk about how they are not actually assets either. They didn't deny it.
Yeah, so you and I should start tweeting that at them. All right, we got our next topic here. That's Congresswoman Katie Hill. She's found herself in a little bit of, this is a messy story. I feel gross even talking about it. I don't like getting into people's personal lives, but it's become a big, a big thing here. Basically, she was in a relationship with a 22-year-old female campaign staffer and her husband. Obviously, there's some grudge match that's being played out in the tabloids, photos, and all of that are being. But I will say, a lot of the media has been covering for her, basically printing her, calling it a disgusting smear. When look, the underlying accusation is true. There's no question. She absolutely was having an affair with a 22-year-old campaign staffer. She was exploiting this person. She was even paying a lot of money from her campaign to this person. Look, the photos. I think that debate is whole. I think it's unseemly. It really should not be published. It's irresponsible to do it. But generally, this is a true story. And I've seen a lot of the effort by the Playbook crowd and others really to just whitewash it. They don't want to talk about it at all. What do you think, Katie?
Right. Well, is this our first polyamorous scandal?
Yeah.
The world is real.
Right.
That's progress, right?
It's
not a normative scandal. We can celebrate that.
Yeah.
I think what you have happening is that linking this story with the nude photographs is actually kind of a blessing because it taints the story. And it kind of shrouds it in tabloidery and kind of misogyny and sexism. So we'll see how that plays out. But
I think you're right, Katie, which is that, actually by publishing these photos, they've turned it into a debate around revenge porn. When really, look, they have the text messages. The substance of the messages are enough, which is that she was clearly in an affair with a 22-year-old woman. The FEC filings show that she was paying this person, thousands of dollars. All these, this is clickbait. And I think it's wrong to demonize somebody in their personal life this way. That's the way, that's just generally how I see it. All right, so final thing we have to talk about here, Katie, you sent this over to me. I love this. A CBS reporter asking AOC why she's supporting an old white guy. Let's take a listen just to see how egregious it is.
You made history with your election, and you both are part of the most diverse Congress in history. This is also the most diverse Democratic presidential field ever. I'm going to be a little blunt with you, Congresswoman, and don't take offense, Senator, but as a woman of color, why back an old white guy? And is this the future of the party?
Yeah, I think I'm actually very excited about this partnership because it shows what we have to do in our country, is that we have to come together across race, across gender, across generation, and across class in order to establish our basic systems as rights.
What did you make of that one, Katie? That was...
I want to know why she isn't a fan of Sarah Palin, why she's hasn't written about how inspiring Sarah Palin is. Look, that interview, that point, also calling him an old white guy, again, why do you have to be so, make it such an attack? I think it's a ridiculous argument. I think we need to have a discussion about identity politics and the politics of policy and how if you care about racism and sexism, you look at someone's policy. But the old white guy just kind of reveals what a media smear this is, right? There's absolutely no reason to say old white guy. It's ageist, but that same interview, they asked her about why she didn't endorse Warren and if she talked to Warren about it. They asked Bernie if he'll back any Dem, including the Dem if it's Biden. And why isn't the media asking Biden if they'll back Bernie Sanders?
Right. No, exactly.
Yeah,
and you talked about this last time. We talked about this last week. But like you said, so if Nikki Haley were to enter the race on the Republican ticket, would it be AOC's responsibility to endorse Nikki Haley? No, it's ridiculous. Right. And that's how quickly that the logic falls apart, right? It's just so stupid, but so pervasive throughout the entire media class.
Right. And you know what? If you want to make a criteria, that's okay. I probably would disagree with it. But if you want to say, look, when the difference between the candidates is this big or this small, then favor the identity of the candidate, right? You privilege that or prioritize that over policy. But they're not even saying that. They are not even declaring what it is, what their criteria is, or what they're thinking it. So yes, exactly like we're both saying, by that logic, as of now, it's just saying you should support Nikki Haley.
Well, there you go. Katie, thank you so much for joining me. This was fun. We got to do a solo show more often. All right.
Yeah.
We will have more Rising for you guys all after this.